Welcome to Get It Done Entrepreneurs, where we talk with founders of companies who bet on themselves and won. My name is Rich LeBrun, and I am the founder and CEO of LeBrun Advisory Group. You can find us at rlebrun.com. Our mission is to help our clients build wealth through business ownership. Stick around to the end of the show and we'll reveal how you can be our next guest. I want to introduce our special guest today, Sebastien Lagree. Sebastien is the CEO and founder of Lagree Fitness. Lagree has over 500 studios in over 30 countries and is continually expanding. Sebastien also developed a Proformer to be paired with his method in 2006. Over the next 15 years, Lagree would go on to invent the Megaformer, the Supra, the EVO and EVO II, which we'll probably learn about as we go here. The Mega is a patented piece of fitness equipment that uses varying degrees of tension. The Supra is a first digitally controlled fitness machine that inclines and tilts. Additionally, Sebastien is the only person in the United States who holds patents on both fitness equipment and a fitness method. Sebastien currently holds over 135 patents and believes that a key ingredient to successful innovation is persistence. Sebastien's latest launches, namely the Microformer and the Miniformer, revolutionized home fitness in 2020 during COVID and again in 2022. And Lagree Fitness continues to lead the industry's expansion into the future of fitness with the launch of Lagree On Demand virtual platform for all things Lagree. His long list of devotees include people I'm sure our listeners are going to know: Meghan Markle, Quinn, Rita Ora, Kwan, January Jones, Michelle Obama, Nicole Kidman, Sofia Vergara, Jennifer Aniston, and many more. He has been featured in countless media such as Forbes, Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Refinery29.com, Insider.com, and more. And with millions of media impressions every year, Sebastien is a media's go-to fitness expert. Wow, what a resume you have there, Sebastien. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was really impressed and getting a chance to read up about you and all things that you're doing fitness-wise. So I don't want to be the only one that knows that. So why don't you share with our listeners your story? How'd you get into the fitness business, and maybe a little bit how you got to where you are today? And then we'll talk about maybe some of the ups and downs along the way.
Absolutely. Well, I kind of got into the business of fitness by chance. I've always been involved into fitness. I started when I was 13 years old to lift weight, and I'm an introvert. So lifting weight, bodybuilding is something that really echoed with me, and something that was very easy for me to kind of fall in love with. When I moved in the US, I was 17, and so at the time, fitness, bodybuilding was a little obscure in France, but really well established already in the US. So I started to bodybuild when I was 17, 18 years old. And I started to do some photography with local photographers. When I first moved, I moved to Oregon. And so the photography and the filmmaking I really like that aspect, that creative aspect. So I decided, I'm going to finish my school, and then when I'm done with this, I'm going to move to California, and I'm going to try my luck in the acting business. So at 25, I moved to LA, tried to become an actor, and then of course it did not work out. However, every single time I went on an audition or I went to a party, whatever, because of my physique, people was asking me, hey, are you a personal trainer? So for the first 2-3 weeks, no, I'm an actor, blah, blah, blah. And then I started to run out of money. And then so I thought, you know what, if people see me as a personal trainer, I'm just going to go with this. I need to make some cash. And so, very quickly, someone else asked me if I'm a personal trainer, and I said yes. And then I had my first client, and basically I needed a place to train that person, and that led me to a Pilates studio that was on Melrose Place in West Hollywood. And then the owner was like, listen, I will let you take your clients to my gym. You can train them with the weight, but we also have this method called Pilates. And I'm like, what is that? I had read everything I could learn about fitness, read all the books, encyclopedia, research, all that stuff. I was really a fitness buff, and never heard of Pilates. So he gave me a quick training on what Pilates was, and he started to feed me the clients. And I I was teaching Pilates, the traditional method, for the first couple, maybe the first 3 weeks. And then I saw that all the clients that he gave me would all go to the gym afterwards. So we do a Pilates sessions with them, and then they would go and work out with the trainer. And that didn't sit well with me. I'm like, I didn't like the fact that, I felt like I was doing a pre-warm up, or like a pre-workout on the Pilates machine. So I went to the person who hired me and I said, listen, these people that you're giving me don't really like Pilates because they're not getting what they want because they go to the gym afterwards. I can keep those people at your studio because they're not going to stay. I can keep the studios if you allow me to change the method, because essentially when you do a Pilates workout, the traditional original Pilates method, you're not going to sweat, you're not going to shake, you're not going to feel soreness the next day, because that has never been the point of the Pilates method. So I went ahead and then changed it. I added basically intensity to the method. I added some weight training exercise. And within basically 4 weeks, I was sold out. I was booked 60, 65 hours a week. I started to get media attention. I started to get celebrities because I was doing this new Pilates style. Now, at the beginning, I didn't call my method because it wasn't even my equipment. And to be honest with you, Rich, I had no intention of staying in the business of fitness. I was only doing to support my acting ambition. And then it kept going and going and going. And unfortunately, after 2 years, the ownership of the gym changed. The new owner felt I was a threat because everybody was coming to me. All the trainers were coming to me. I was basically the source of attraction. And he thought it was not good because he could not manage the studio properly. So he kicked me out. And it kind of forced me to open my own studio. And by opening my own studio, I realized that now I had to manage the place. I had to start to, basically develop this whole business. And I decided to do group fitness because I thought that group fitness was actually a more lucrative and a more stable business than doing one-on-one training. Because on one-on-one training, you might train a lot of celebrities, but celebrities are they are cyclical, right? They'll be in, they'll be in LA for 1 or 2 weeks, and then they're out shooting a movie or doing something for 2 or 3 months. So it was not a very dependable business. You were either very busy or not busy. So I picked the group format model, and then one thing led to another, and then I started to develop my own method. And by developing my own method, I realized that I could not use basically the Pilates reformer. It was not working for me. So I had to create my own machine. So fast forward to now, I've been basically constantly improving the workouts. I now have 168 patents. I'm constantly redeveloping and reimagining the workout. I have many machines that I'm developing, and I'm constantly just innovating, and I'm doing it for a couple of different reasons. But the number one reason is I love teaching fitness, and I get very bored of what I teach. So for me, I'm constantly trying to just outdo myself, because it's what keeps me interested. For me to teach this workout for 25 years, there's no way that I would be teaching the same workout I was teaching 25 years ago. It's like a workout, a bodybuild, variety is the number one key for any bodybuilders, because your body keeps adapting to the routine and the exercises. So you constantly have to change things up. So I've always stuck to that one principle, and have adapted it to the method and the machines that I develop. I think that's got to be the quickest bio I've ever given, because I can talk about this for like hours. So I'm very proud of myself.
All right, well, let's dive in. Let's kind of dissect that a little bit.
Yes, a lot happened. Okay, it's been a roller coaster ride. Okay,
all right. So I mean, from actor to inventor. Come on, that's a whole book in itself, right?
Well, actor wannabe to inventor. Yes,
actor wannabe. That's great. Okay, but in between there, okay, so money was a motivator. You're a starving artist, we'll call you, back in the day, whenever that day was, 20 some years ago. And the business kind of evolved, and you just kind of went with it. So you were still trying to fund your acting career. But looking back now you're years later, you've done quite well for yourself. So you'd be able to coach yourself differently if you're talking to your younger self. What are some things that you learned along the way that you would tell yourself 20 some years ago to do differently?
First of all, I would have gone through the heartache of opening more locations myself because, the reason I wanted to, the reason I went the licensing route, because I could have opened more studios myself. I could have partnered with people to open more locations. I could just license the name and let basically people free reign on how they want to open the business, but keep my name, or I could have franchised it. And at the time, I didn't have the money to franchise because franchise can be expensive, especially when you start to expand in multiple states. And also didn't want to have this amount of control over a studio because running a studio is never been an enjoyable part of the business. I only like to teach. I like to improve the method, and I love to teach the method. I hate to manage the method. That is not something I'm good at, and I didn't like that. So, but now, 25 years into it, I have now 5 studios of my own that I basically co-own with my ex-wife Danielle. Those are called the Megaformer Studio, and with her now we're putting more locations. So I put in the money, and then basically she operates all the studio, and Danielle is doing a fantastic job. She's doing really an amazing job. So we're expanding. I should have done that the first thing instead of doing the license, instead of doing the franchise. I should basically just find someone I can just work with and then start to basically open the locations myself. And here's why. With the license, you have essentially no control over how someone is going to manage the studio. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of studio calling the method Pilates or referring to my workout as Pilates, and it's not. So it's been a marketing nightmare right now to try to clear up the confusion between what is Pilates, what is Lagree. Because the two workouts are actually completely different. Even though the Megaformer, the Proformer, the machines I make are based on the reformer, it's like, the machines is like comparing a tractor to a sport car. I mean, yes, they both have 4 tires, they have a steering wheel, they have an engine, they can go from point A to B, but that's it. That's the resemblance between those two machines. And I think that I didn't make with the license, I lost the message, and that is something I have to clean up now. And it's much more difficult to clean up the message 25 years into it than the first year. So that's number one. And then the number 2 is really also to keep the control over the method. I have a lot of licensees who will hire just Pilates instructors or people they've never taught before, and you start to really get a bad name for those because of those teachers. And so I think that to keep the integrity of the method, I think that you need a bit more control. The franchise might work for some people, but it's a more cash intense at the beginning. So for me, I didn't want the headache. So I had my location doing very well, and I started to license the method. So that was one thing. I should have opened more locations myself and then make a decision. Okay, what do I want to do? Still open the locations myself, find an investor, or do I want to license or franchise, and really contemplate about the pros and cons of all 3 different strategies, because you have to pick between licensing and franchising. And then the second mistake I made was to grant exclusivities. The exclusivity never worked out. Perhaps you can grant a short-term exclusivity to allow a studio to launch itself. But to have exclusivity that are going on indefinitely is a no. You will always lose. It's never, unless you get paid millions of dollars for this exclusive use, which I wasn't getting paid. Do not do it. Stay away from the exclusivity. I've only had headaches and problems because of the exclusive use. So now I'm working backward with licensees. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working backward on the name for licensees to use Lagree and not Pilates, and I'm working backward in removing the exclusivity. So right now, I think about 95% of all our licenses are non-exclusive, but I still have these few studios left, with exclusive use in some good markets. And I really want to remove that. It actually benefits everyone if the license is non-exclusive, because you have more studios opening, and not everybody manages a studio, the correct way. So there's actually not really a risk of saturating a market. So that is the 2 things that if I could talk to myself 25 years back, that's what I would say.
We all learn, right? We all learn in hindsight. That's just the way we learn. in a lot of franchise companies, which I'm in that industry, start out, even on the franchise side, their first 2 or 3 or dozen buyers got bigger territories or more exclusive components to it that they later regret. But they kind of they mold and shape and they adapt and they eventually kind of reformulate. But you also carved out the nice part of the business that you liked. That was the teaching part, and obviously the creating and the inventing side. But you've done some things well too, Sebastien. Let's give you a credit for that too. So, what's maybe 1 or 2 good decisions that you made that would you would attribute a lot of your success to?
Well, it's a constant redevelopment of the method. It's the fact that once I have a method and a machine built, I just don't package it and sell it. I immediately start to improve it. So I teach on a weekly basis. When people say, "Oh, you are the founder and you still teach," I'm like, "Yes, I teach every week. It's a necessity for me." There was a time where I was so busy expanding the studios that I stopped teaching, and I immediately realized that if I didn't teach, the ideas would stop coming to me. So it's very important for the R&D that I stay grounded, that I'm in the trench with all the other teachers, and I see what's going on. So this is why I've constantly involved the method. And thank God I've done that, because now today we have so many copycats, so many people are copying the method. And because I'm always ahead of everyone, that copycat does not affect me so much. Where the copycats have allowed the method to do, they've kind of validated the method in a way, because now we have a lot of copycats, but we have the best technology. We have the best equipment. Of course, what they're doing is completely out of date and then based on machines that don't even have the features that we have. So the constant development and the constant, seeking of improving the method and the equipment is what I did right. And I would say to people that you have to all the listeners that you have to decide what you're good at, because you are either a creative person or you're a business person. Okay, I have a master's in business, but that is not why I'm successful. I'm successful because I'm an inventor at heart. I'm a very creative person, and that's where I'm really good at. I'm good at creating. I'm not good, I've succeeded in the industry regardless of the economic conditions, because I always come out with products that people absolutely love. But that's because I work out myself. I work out on my machines. I know what people like. If you love ice cream and you sell ice cream, then you're going to be the best ice cream maker. That's it. If you don't love ice cream but you sell ice cream, you're not going to bake the mirrors. You have to enjoy what you do, and you have to do it never for the money. You have to do it for the art of it or the passion of it. So I know that I'm a better inventor, that I'm a better entrepreneur or businessman. I'm an entrepreneur because I'm an inventor, not the other way around. So that's what really set me apart from everyone else.
And you have the mindset to mold and shift and not rest on your laurels, as they say. You're out there continuously, especially in your industry. The fitness industry is very competitive. A lot of people get bored with routines, and they get a new shiny object that shows up down the street. So those who do not reinvent themselves frequently kind of lose out.
Yes, and I will give a quote that I love from Nikola Tesla, and I'm going to paraphrase. Right, he said it much better than me. I don't care that people are stealing my ideas. I care that people have no ideas of their own. That is so important, to be an original thinker in the industry that you are. There is always a way to market your product to a new audience, to repurpose your product, or to improve the method of the machine. There's always a way to do it better. You just have to look for it. And again, this is why it's very important that you have a personal connection to what you do.
Yeah, it's a very interesting quote. I'm glad we captured this on the recording, so I'm gonna make sure it's in the notes, because I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure that the percentages of people who are the new thinkers are very small.
Okay? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and so we need them to move us along for the rest of us that maybe not be. All right, let's take a break here. Let's take a commercial break. Sebastien, you got listeners out there. What would you like to tell them about your business? You want to promote an event? You want to tell us who your customer is? How, all those type of things. It's your time to share a little bit about your company.
Sure. Well, actually, a lot of the licensees that we have are coming from basically 2 industries. we have a lot of lawyers that are tired of practicing laws and they just want to make money. And because we have a lot of lawyers as clients, we have a lot of lawyers, doctors, nurses, a lot of people in the industry, a lot of real estate people. So for a lot of our licensees, I would say half of our licensees are people looking for a change in career. They made some money already with their current their current career, but it's either too stressful or too whatever. And now they're looking for something that is going to be more manageable, more pleasurable, and something that they love to do. So a lot of people are changing the industry. And then we have a lot of Pilates people. So, Pilates is not as popular as it used to be in the US. I've single-handedly changed how Pilates is taught. If you go to LA today, you'll see most of the Pilates studios do group reformer classes. People try to copy or adopt my method on the machine. So, when they realize that they can't, they contact me and they decide to do the license. One thing that we have right now is I've changed the licensing model. I've reduced the licensing fees. So, the license that we charge today is only $4,000 a year. So I used to do this one-time payment. So more than ever, the licensing fee is becoming more affordable. We have, of course, we have the equipment that you can buy or to lease. We have, depending on the machine that you buy, some people can open a business with $10,000 or less. So I've really tried to tackle all the obstacles to open a studio, because in the past you needed at least $300,000 or $400,000 to open a studio. Today, you can do it with less than $10,000, depending on which machine you decide and things like that. So I've really looked at how my licensees were operating, and then tried to remove all the costs that come with that. So that would be the thing that I want to promote.
That's a great opportunity for those who are listening to have.
Yeah.
Could they do this as a side business, or do they have to do this pretty much all in full time?
You could do this as a side business. Absolutely. We have some people that still have retained their other career. Now they have this as like a hobby, or like a part-time occupation until it becomes a full one. There's an event that I do want to promote. So if you are interested in opening a studio, we are going to launch our first conference in Vegas next year. So March 1st to March 3rd, we're going to do the first Lagree Summit at the MGM Hotel. So I'm taking over the entire convention center at the MGM Hotel. And there we'll have pretty much every licensees. We're going to have a whole bunch of vendors, everyone who's kind of tied into the fitness community. So you have people who are going to sell basically booking agents. You'll have people who do lighting or flooring and blah, blah, blah. You'll see all the machines that I have, new machines that are coming out. We'll have demos. So it's going to be, if anyone who loves Lagree, or anyone who wants to open a studio or teach or connect with other licensees, or talk to people about opening a studio, this is the event. That is really, and I'm going to be there, of course, and I'm going to be leading a lot of panel discussions about how to expand your studio. The rule has kind of changed in the last 25 years. When you open a location, you no longer open small size studio, you have to open big size studios. So I'm going to talk about this, the advantage of to do that, and basically share my knowledge of the past 25 years, things that have worked, things that didn't work, and basically a new direction, because it's very important, I think, for any method out there, for any business, to not be too stuck on the past or how you've done things in the past, and then really be open to new ways, because this world is changing. And I think it's very important to adapt and to change with it.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Perfect. And by the way, we'll promote that event today and even as it gets closer.
Thank you,
but let's segue to the third part of the show, which we talk about today's world. Okay. And it's different than it was 25 years ago. And it's been different in the last couple of years. We got all sorts of headwinds that everybody's facing, labor shortages, interest rates, inflation, wars, and we got everything, political unrest. You've navigated one of our toughest times, COVID, which I know in the fitness industry, they got hit really hard. So you're not, and you've also navigated 2008, Great Recession. So how do you look at today's times? Do you see it as time to grow, expand, more opportunity? Should we sit back a little bit, retreat? from your experience navigating tough times and like I said, COVID pivoting and really had to adapt quickly. Share some thoughts about how you deal with things like it that we're facing today.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2008, we grew enormously quickly, even though there was a economic downturn, global economic downturn. And I think that's because people were looking for different ways to place their money or maybe different investment. It's always like this, when the market goes down, people take the money out and they want to invest in something more tangible. So opening up a studio, a brick and mortar studio, for example, there are usually this kind of business tends to do well. And that's kind of what's happening right now also, right? We have a lot of people putting their money out of Wall Street because it's been so unstable. And now they want to open maybe 2, 3, 4 studios because the revenues or the returns are pretty high. I mean, you can gross, 100, 200, $300,000 a month, with the studio. This is not something to sneeze at, so there's definitely real money into opening a location. For COVID, I lucked out. COVID, I really lucked out because a year before I came out with this smaller machine because we've always had a lot of people wanted to buy the Megaformer, which is a big unit. This is a commercial size machine. But the problem with that machine, it's big. It's hard to fit into an apartment. It's expensive. So I went the other way around. I said, okay, I'm going to make a machine that we're going to be able to sell for less than $1,000. A machine that's going to basically capture all the essential elements that we do on the bigger machine, something that's easy to ship and something like that. So the year before, I kind of sketched out on a paper napkin this machine. Right, it took me 15 minutes, sent it to my manufacturer in California, and then it came out, with this machine that looked like a smaller version of the Megaformer. And I had built 100 just to kind of test out. And then on July 4th of 2019, I sent an email out to all those people on my wait list. And then we saw all 100 machines in just 1 hour. And I realized, oh, okay, so there's the benefit. The problem is the cost of manufacturing was higher than the retail price because manufacturing in the US is no longer viable. It's just too expensive. You cannot be competitive and still built in the US, unfortunately. Especially in California. California is in a very expensive state to build. And in the fitness industry, unfortunately, we're not to a point yet where people are, there's no Lamborghini of fitness, there's no Ferrari of fitness. Everybody wants to buy the cheap stuff that they build in China, not realizing that there's different qualities. And I know it because I manufacture in China as well. So, I realized there was a market for this. And then I went to China and then tried to make the machine basically more affordable. And we relaunched the Micro, a different looking Micro, a different model based on the same structure. And we launched it in March 2020, just when the government forced everyone to shut down. And so it was the perfect time to launch this machine. And that machine literally just allowed us to survive through COVID, but not just survive, thrive, and also allowed many of our licensees to survive because all of a sudden they could not operate with the bigger machines, but they could actually get the smaller machines and operate outside. So we actually saved many licensees out of bankruptcy because they were able to continue to operate their studio under the new circumstances, under the new laws, requirements. So a lot of locations bought the Micro, started to do outdoor classes, and that was the launch of the Micro. So I was very lucky, and a lot of people thought, "Wow, you were so quick to respond to COVID," not thinking that no, I had done this a year prior. Okay, I'm good, but I'm not that good, and so that's how we navigated COVID, and that gave me actually a great insight on new ways to actually do the method. So from the Micro, I came out with the Mini and the Mini Pro, and I started to look at the smaller machines do have a place for us. And then it started to create a whole new branch in the Lagree Fitness tree. And from there, we also grew the video, the online demand, the on-demand classes with a virtual platform, Lagree OD, Lagree On Demand. And so COVID kind of just was an opportunity for us to start to launch new services, new machines. COVID also knocked out a lot of the copycats that we had. Because that's kind of the nature, when you copycats and you don't think about what you do, you don't think about your industry, you don't understand the industry, you have no love for it, well, you cut a few pens down. So COVID was actually pretty good for Lagree. It actually allowed us to try new things, to launch new product. It shut down some of the competition. So it was actually pretty good. I've never had a moment in Lagree where basically the license or the business is not done well. Today we're firing on all cylinders. A lot of us new studios opening with the micro, especially overseas, because the conditions overseas are not the same as the US. You want to open a studio in Paris. There are not big spaces like LA. LA, you can open a beautiful building, have a beautiful, space that is a perfect rectangle. In France, you have these, tiny rooms that unfortunately, you can't do anything. You can't break walls. You can't do because the structure of the building is done. You have to go to new developments, but there's not that many new development in the big cities. Maybe in the suburbs, you can find that stuff. So the machines that are built are doing very well there. They're also doing very well in Asia. In Asia, you want to open a studio in Japan, super expensive. You're going to be stuck in a tiny room. So the bigger machines you have, you might be able to maybe fit 1 or 2 machines of the bigger style, but you can fit 9 or 10 of the smaller style. So Japan, now South Korea, or a lot of countries in Asia, we're selling a lot of licenses because of these smaller micros, smaller machines. So today is great because we sell, the micros, the mini pros, the mega, new megas. And then of course, during COVID, even though, the license was not doing so good and then people can open studios, I continue to reinvest into tooling, new machines and stuff like that. That is something that I've done constantly since I started, because for me, I knew that COVID was going to be over. I had told everyone that 2024 is going to be the year when we're starting to get back into basically pre-COVID. And that's what I told everyone. I said, it's going to take about 4 years. I knew if we're going to be closed for a year and a half, you can expect 2 or 3 more years for the economy to kind of get back. Of course, I didn't predict all the recession, the high interest rate, and so on. But it has not really affected us, I would say, that much, because this year we've been selling a lot of licenses. We've been really busy. And I'm glad. So now I'm very happy that I continue to evolve and continue to invest into the infrastructure of the business, because now we definitely need it. So everything is working out very well. So next year, I'm super happy. I think next year will be our best fiscal year yet.
Yeah, I love that story. A lot of people say you were lucky back in 2019. You only can be lucky if you're in the game. So
Right.
you were already in the game. The market shifted, and you were there. So you deserve a lot of credit for that, and you adapt and shift, which I think is really a beautiful thing. Because what I didn't hear, which a lot of owners do, our listeners need to hear this. A lot of them pivot to the shiny object and away from their core competence. You stayed in fitness, true and blue, your passion, you keep reinventing in that space, equipments, programs, etc. But you didn't go run off to the side, chase some other thing. And I think that's allowed you to be better in the competitive space you are. And so I hope our listeners hear that. Just be better at what you do and be willing to shape and adapt that, which you did.
Absolutely.
And you stay one step ahead of your competitors. Okay, last question. So most people I ask are not fitness buffs, so you already got this category down. When I say, how do you take care of yourself on a personal basis? You already talked about how you do as a leader, your mindset as a leader, but you also have to get yourself out of bed every Monday morning. You got to lead the charge. You got to get that creative juices going. I'm sure you got your physical routine, but do you use mentors, coaches? Do you read a lot? What keeps you focused personally?
So working out, I would say 2 things that I think any entrepreneur, any person going to start their own business, you need to keep your sanity. It's very easy to lose it. The way I stay sane, 2 way, I work out. So right outside of here, you have a door. Outside that door, it's a 4,000 square feet gym. That's right. That's the thing I see. Right now, I'm looking at my fitness equipment. I have, of course, I'm an inventor for the Megaformer and the other machines. But what people don't know is actually a whole new line of fitness equipment that I've not shown to the world. And I'm actually working out on that. So every day, I try to work out at least an hour and a half in the morning. And if I have time, I work out another hour and a half in the afternoon. It keeps me incredibly sane. So when I do my emails, I'm incredibly productive, effective, efficient. And the other things that I do is I meditate. For me, it's very important to not engage, because I get people email me triggers all the time about copycats, or maybe there's some people are pissed off, and there's like potential legal issues involved and all that stuff. So and there's also a lot of just hearsay. So when I read those emails, I always have a calm mind, and whenever I make a decision, I'm always doing it from a calm from a calm level. I never get riled up by an email and then just and then just like, well, let me tell you, and I'm very focused and very zen and very neutral. It's very important because I live in an industry where there's a lot of drama. The fitness industry is an industry of just pure drama. So you do not want to engage in that, and you have to keep your level head. Some people will actually generate so much drama that sometimes it changes your focus and it's a distraction. So I work out and I meditate so I am not distracted and I can just lead this. And that's why for the past 25 years, we've done actually pretty good. I got sidetracked in the past with lawsuits for patent infringement. And I would say that this was a big waste of my time, and it was a big waste of my productivity. And today I'm rethinking 2, 3, 4 times before I make a decision with a legal thing. But that's what I would say, working out and working out and then meditate. Your mental health, mental health is the most important thing. I don't really do, I don't spend too much time reading because I'm dyslexic. So, for example, if you send me a large email, I'm most likely not going to read it, because people don't understand that when you have dyslexia, it affects people differently. For me, you could send me an email, and I'm going to understand the opposite of what you just send me. I have to reread it 2 or 3 times because the words keep changing on the same sentence. It's the way it is. When I speak today, you're very lucky because I actually can enunciate pretty good, but there are days where I'm having a terrible time talking or expressing myself vocally because the words are not coming out. Sometimes I'll say yes instead of no, or no instead of yes, or I have to think 3 or 4 times about a word because I have to think about the pronunciation or whatever. So for me, reading, I love reading, but it's just something that is hard for me to do. So I think a lot, and meditation is very important. And I try to analyze. I do a lot of critical thinking, which I think is a lost art. A lot of people today want to be given the information. They want to go online. They want to read it from someone. People don't want to come up with their own response or their own answer. That is a mistake. And I think that's why we have so many copycats out there, because people they're not like they're lazy. It's just that they're unable to think. And that's why I always like that quote about Nikola Tesla, that it's very important to create your own idea and to really understand what you're in the business of. And remember that what you see is not what you get. In every industry, what you see is the curtail. What you see is what everyone else wants you to see. You need to see beyond the curtail, and you need to understand the motivation behind what you see. Once you finally understand your market, this is the way that you'll be able to approach it in different ways. For example, I did for me, I like to do out of the box marketing. A couple of years ago, I had this very famous chimpanzee in Florida. I think his name is Limbani, and he's had like over 100,000 followers, right? It's a chimpanzee, okay? I put him on one of my machines on the micro, and that video went viral. And because I wanted to show the simplicity of the machine, so I had this chimpanzee on the machine, and he worked out on it very well. No one else has done things like that, but I would attribute to my dyslexia. I have a different way of thinking, and that is definitely, for me, I would say for dyslexic people out there, that actually might become your competitive advantage, because I view marketing, I view the world very differently than most people, and that has allowed me to create many new opportunities for me in the business.
Love it. I always remember a movie called Good Will Hunting, I think it was called, with Robin Williams. Yes. And I remember the one scene, he stands on a chair looking over his classroom. He goes, "You need to look at what I see from up here." And I always thought that was a nice different perspective on just change your environment, change your look at things. Sebastian, this has been a lot of fun, a lot of fun. How can people get a hold of you? Should they want to learn more about you or services, or maybe even inquire about a license?
Listen, today's a social media world, so just go on Instagram. You'll find me as Sebastien Lagree, and then you can send me a message, or you can just email us info@lagreefitness.com.
Very good. And all that will be on the podcast notes. This podcast will air on all podcast platforms in about 2 to 3 weeks, as well as our YouTube station. Sebastian, I never want to take for granted when I get people like yourself who are leaders of companies taking time out of your busy day to share your wisdom with our listeners. So thank you on behalf of everybody for showing up today.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good luck to everyone.
Thanks. And we wish you the best.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Rich LeBrun here. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Get It Done, Entrepreneurs. If you are a successful business owner who would like to be on this program, please visit us at rlebrun.com/podcast and fill out the form, and we will reach out to you. If you got something out of this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on the socials. If you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show. Include the hashtag GetItDoneEntrepreneurs. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, rlebrun.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.